So hello all, back at the garden room build, and it's time for insulation. So what I've got is some 50mm thick foam insulation that's foil backed. Now it's the hottest day of the year so far, so I'm afraid I have to warn you, I'm in shorts. None of us are happy about it, but we're just going to have to deal with this situation.
So to cut the sheets, I'm going to use the trestle table I made last week.
So I'm going to start with the ceiling, and this should be a pretty simple process. Just measuring how big they need to be, marking them out. Now to cut these, I'm using the Jigsaw and a specialist blade designed just to cut these sheets. I'm also going to use the rail with a rail square as a guide to run the Jigsaw along, so this should go pretty simply.
So I'll put a link down below under this video on the tools I use page to these blades. With the bits cut, I can just get them pushed into place. So I've cut them so they're just going to go in with a nice tight friction fit, so no chance of them falling out. So I also have this Bahco handsaw, which is designed for cutting these insulation boards, so I'll put a link to that below. And I use a combination of the two methods. The saw creates more dust, but it's probably quicker. I managed to measure one bit wrong, so I just need to patch in a little bit at the end. And then I just continue and get all the walls done.
So all the insulation board is now in place, so now I need to go around with this 100mm tape and tape up all the seams.
Now this seems to actually take longer than fitting the boards themselves, but it'd be worth it in the end to get this nicely insulated.
So I've run out of tape, but you get the idea. So what I can get on with though is the ceiling, because that's all taped up. So what I've got is some 9mm MDF. So I can get it measured and then I'm going to cut it down using the track saw.
I've gone for 9mm because of cost and because I can actually lift it above my head. So I'm using my cutting table again. This time I've taken the legs off so I can just use it on the floor, and the track saw to get it cut to size.
So I'm going to struggle to lift this up and screw it in on my own. So what I'm going to do is put this batten on the wall, and then I can hook one end of the MDF over that, and it's like having an extra pair of hands.
So with the batten in place, I can take the MDF sheet that I've cut to the correct size and get one end of it hooked over it. Then I can position myself under the board and get it lifted up into place. I'd already half driven some screws in, so I had one less thing to worry about. So I could just get the driver onto the screws that are already there and put into one of the rafters. Then I can just keep getting screws in until it's all attached. I keep moving that batten along and continue the process until the whole of the ceiling is done.
Ceiling's done, now I've got to do the same with the walls. Easier because I don't have to work above my head, but the added complication is I've got to cut out the holes for the sockets.
So I work out what size the panels need to be, then I can get them cut down with the track saw. Then I take them back in, lay them out on the floor and mark out the position where the sockets need to go. Then I can go back outside again and I drill some holes in the corners, and then I can take the jigsaw and cut out. With the piece removed for the socket, it's back inside, and then I can get it attached to the wall. Then it's just repeating the process until it's all done.
So I've got the room boarded, but you've got these joints between the boards. Now, I've got a load of scraps left over, so what I'm going to do is use the table saw to rip down some strips. Then I can use these to cover all the joints. This should give a nice panelled effect and be quite interesting.
I set the trestle table back up with some spare insulation on top and some OSB, and that worked great as an outfeed table.
So I've got part of these strips cut. Now to attach them in place, I've got myself a new tool, and that's an electric nail gun. So to attach them, I'm going to apply some grab adhesive, push the strips into place, and then secure them with a few brad nails.
Now, on the walls you might just get away with the grab adhesive, but for the ceilings I think you definitely need nails or screws. So you could use either of those options and then fill the holes. Well, in fact, I have to come back later and fill the holes with the brad nailer, but they're very tiny holes. The advantage of the brad nailer as well is you can really push on it when you fire the nails, and it really pulls the board tight into the one underneath, so you don't really get any gap. With a pile of strips cut, actually cutting each one to the correct length, getting it glued and nailed on, didn't take much time at all. And it was quite an enjoyable process, just cutting each one to fit, and every one I felt made the room look better.
So the strips are on, really pleased with how that looks. I couldn't have done it without this nail gun. It really made the job a lot better. So I'll stick an Amazon affiliate link to this down below. Now that nail gun has left tiny little holes, and probably the paint would just cover it, but I've also missed a couple of screws. So I'm going to go around with some of this ready-made wood filler and just go over it. It goes off pretty quickly, and then I can give it a sand down. So the sanding's all done, so now we'll go around with a caulk and get all the edges done, prepared for painting. Now I'm ready for painting, and I'm going to start with some acrylic undercoat. I'll put a link to this down below as well. So I'm going to use a brush to get this in the corners, and then move on to a mini roller to get it finished off.
MDF is notoriously difficult to paint, so using a primer really helps.
With the primer all dry, it's now time for some emulsion.
I got a coat on, and then I left it for the others to finish off when I went home. But with it on, it certainly looks a lot brighter in here. And it's starting to look like an actual room.
So the room's insulated, we've got stuff up on the walls. I really like the panelling technique, and I think I'm going to do that in my workshop build. Got it all painted, so the next thing to do is get the floor done, and I'm going to get that done in the next video. So thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons, and please subscribe for more videos.